Alright, so welcome back everybody to Wingspan. So we did the white abilities already, or should I say the abilities that activate when played. Now we're going to go over, for this video and the next corresponding videos, we're going to go over how these brown abilities work, or when activated, when do they function and work. And so as an example, I've got some cards out here. I've got 3 in the wetlands and 1 in the savanna and 1 in the forest as a representation. So, when do you activate these abilities here for these birds? It's when you take these corresponding actions. Let's say you're going to do the gain food from the bird feeder action. What you're going to do is you're going to put this cube here, your colored cube, on the corresponding spot that doesn't have a bird card on it. So, for instance, for the forest here, it's going to go right here. You're going to take the action, which is taking one of these dice out of the bird feeder and taking the corresponding food for it. Then after that, you're going to move your cube down the line, and you're going to put it on the next card. Then you have the option to activate the ability that's here if it's brown. And so this one says, when activated, you'll gain 1 invertebrate from the supply. So you have a choice to activate that. If you don't want to activate it, it's entirely your choice. But then after you activate it or not, you just move your cube to the left side of your player board, and that's where it will stay for the rest of the round. Now, the same thing would happen here. If you take the lay eggs on birds action, you'll do that first here in the savanna. And then if you have a bird in your savanna that has a brown ability, you'll move your cube onto it like so, and then get to activate it if you want to. And it says, when activated, lay 1 egg on this bird. So that's pretty cool, right? And then you put the cube over here. Now this is where brand abilities are really, really cool. So let's say you're going to draw birds. And this could be up here, for instance. These could have been up here, but for this point, we're going to be doing it here. Now, so we have these 3 birds. They all have brown abilities. And I'm going to take the action draw bird cards. I'll do that. I'll draw my 2 bird cards, maybe another one if I want to pay an egg. And then I'll move the cube down to the next card, which is obviously a bird ability that's brown. And it says when activated, you get to do something cool. You have an option to do that. Once again, you have another brown ability here, so you can activate that one as well if you want to. And then you'll go down again, activate that one if you want to. And then you'll put your cube here and it'll stay there for the rest of the round. Now that's how that works. And so every time you take the draw birds card action, and you've got 3 here, for instance, you'll do those abilities every time. So that is really cool. Obviously, though, you're not always going to have brown cards in your player board. You might have, majority might be brown, but there'll probably be some that are white or pink. And those do not get activated when you play these 3 types of actions. Just the brown or the when activated abilities. So that's how that works. And so now we're going to go ahead and get started on what all of these abilities do. Okay. All right, so here's our first set of birds with the when activate abilities. We're going to start with ones that focus around eggs. And so this one, first one here, the scaled quail, it says when activated, lay 1 egg on this bird. So that's what you'll do. You'll lay 1 egg on this bird. Pretty easy, pretty simple. That's how that ability works. And the next one has the same ability. So does the next one. And the next one after that. And the next one after that. And the next one after that. So does that one. And that one. Okay, that's all the birds with that exact same ability. And how many are there? There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 8 of those birds with that very simple, easy lay one egg ability. So next, we have a little bit more difference for sure on this one. So when activated, all players lay one egg on any one ball nest bird. You may lay one egg on one additional ball nest bird. So that's really cool. So all the players, if they have birds with that bowl nest, they'll all get to lay one egg on each of their birds that have that nest, and wild nests also count. Now, of course, they only can do that if they have room. Like this one here can only have 4 eggs on it. Some can only have 1 egg. So you have to also make sure that you can still put an egg on it. And if they can't put an egg on it, then there's nothing they can do. That's just how that works. But not only that, but you get to lay one additional egg on each of your ball bird nests, which is really cool. So you're getting to do 2 on all of your particular type of nests, and your opponents, they get to do 1, which is still really cool. So they're all going to put eggs on these ball bird nests. So for instance, here's a bird which also has a ball nest. And so when I play this action, and let's just say these are the only 2 I had, which could be the case in the beginning of the game especially, I get to do 1 on each of them, and then I get to do 1 more on each of them. And now this one is full because this one only has room for 2 eggs. So to keep that in mind when you do this ability, you might not be able to do it if you have too many eggs. With that said, get more birds that have that particular nest, obviously, would be what you'd want to do. But that's still a really cool ability, and of course your opponents will get to do 1 on all of theirs, if they have any, of course. And so that's just one of those. This one is exactly the same as the lazuli buntween, but it's a ground nest instead of a bowl nest. This one is the same one as the last one, but instead of those 2 types of nests, it's a cavity nest. Alright, and that's it. Those are the only 3 birds with that particular ability. So the chances of somebody playing with that is still not likely. And even if somebody does get it, it'll probably only be 1 player that gets one of those 3 birds. Alright, so this one is a little bit different from the others thus far. You're not going to gain eggs with this one. Instead, with the common raven, you're going to actually discard an egg from one of any of your birds to gain 2 food of your choice from the supply. So for instance, if there was an egg sitting on the common raven, you played this card, you could discard the egg from the common raven, and you could get 2 foods of your choice from the supply. Let's say, I don't know, a fish and a seed. I don't know. It's up to you, because it's your choice. And that's how that ability works. And of course, it doesn't have to be the common raven. It could be some other bird that also has an egg on it. You could discard 1 egg from one of your other birds. So that's a pretty nice little ability. You might want to do that for free food. And so the next one is exactly the same as that one. And the next one is also the same as that one, with the exception of 1 difference. The fish crow is exactly the same, except instead of getting 2 food from the supply, you're going to get 1 food of your choice instead of 2. So that's the difference between the last 2. And this one is the same as the fish crow. So is this one. The American crow is the same one as that last one. And that's it. Those are all the birds with that particular type of ability, and altogether there's only 5 of them. Okay, now we have 2 more here in this part of the stack. Franklin's gull and the killdeer. They're exactly the same ability, just different species of birds. With this ability, you're going to discard 1 egg to draw 2 bird cards. So instead of getting food by discarding an egg from another bird, for instance, or from the bird like the Franklin's gull here, and you're playing with Franklin's gull, you're going to discard an egg for 2 bird cards instead of food. That's still pretty useful, especially if you don't have very many bird cards. And that's it for those particular, that particular stack that we went over. Let's see, maybe we should go over at least one more of the stacks in this video. So let's go over this one next. Okay. So here we have the wood duck. When activated, you will draw 2 bird cards. If you do, discard 1 bird card from your hand at the end of your turn. So that's pretty straightforward. You draw 2 bird cards into your hand, and then at the end of the turn, you're going to lose a card from your hand. Obviously, you're going to still have, most likely going to have bird cards. I don't think there is going to be a case when you're not going to have any bird cards sitting in your hand after you play this ability. It's not likely, but it's possible. But I suppose if you can't discard anything at the end of your turn because you're out of cards, then obviously there's you've already played the ability anyway, so it's not like there's anything you can do about it. And if that's the case, then you lucked out because you got to draw 2 bird cards, and you have to discard 1 extra card because you didn't have any at the end of your turn. If that's possible, I'd like to see that happen. But still, you're going to draw 2, and then you're going to discard 1 at the end of your turn. The next bird here after the wood duck has the same ability as that one. So does this one. So does this one. So does this one. Okay, and then this one is basically the same as all the others, except you're going to draw 1 with the forester's turn, and you're going to discard 1. So you get 1, and you discard 1 at the end of your turn. So not as good, obviously, but still could be useful. And that one is also the same as that one as well, the black tern. And that's all of the birds in that particular category, and there are 8 birds in that particular group. Alright, so next we have the common loon. This one, when activated, players with the fewest wetland birds will draw 1 card. So when you play this, it's an option. You don't have to play it. But if you realize that you're one of those players that don't have very many birds in the wetlands, you'll get to draw a card. If you choose to activate it, and only your opponents have the fewer amount of birds, then obviously they get to draw the card. And the reason why it says the players with the fewest is if there's a tie. If 2 players each only have 1 bird in the wetland, and you have 2, for instance, you activate this ability, they're going to love you because they each get to draw a card, and you get nothing. So you got to pay attention to what your opponents are doing if you're going to play this bird, and it does require you to because you're going to need to know who's got the lowest amount anyways. That way we know who's going to be getting the card. Still, that's a pretty cool ability. And the next one also has the same ability, and it's also in the wetlands as well. And that's the only 2 birds that have that ability. It's only for the wetlands, and it's only for those 2 birds. So not very many for that particular ability. This one is also one of those. This is also one of those birds that only have the only one of its kind that has this ability. Draw 1 card. It's the only one that has this. Every time you get to activate it, you get to draw 1 card, which is awesome. And that's the mallard. That's the mallard. That's an awesome ability for sure. Just drawing an extra free card if you have the mallard every time you take the draw bird cards action. That's really cool. But that's the only one with that particular ability. Next we have the purple Golan Newell. And with this one, when activated, all players draw 1 card from the deck. So all players, including you, everybody will get to draw 1 card from the deck with this ability. 1 bird card. And so the next one also has the same ability. So does the next one. In fact, they all do. So all 5 of these birds here in this pile have the same ability. So the Wilson Snipe has it, for instance. That one does. That one does. That one does. And the Spotted Sandpiper also has that ability. So there are 5 birds with that particular ability. Alright, so that's 2 stacks down of of when activated bird cards. So let's continue in the next video.